What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all massively helps out our channel. And let's jump straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. And this story is from Immediate Pen 8104. Am I the arsehole for exposing my parents' lies and damaging their reputation? I, 21 male, have a strained relationship with my parents. They're involved in pretty much every social event / circle in our city, be it church, school, clubs, etc. For them, whatever people think is the most important thing. For that, they will lie about pretty much anything bad that could potentially tarnish their standing, and have forced my sister, 24 female, and I to behave in certain ways or follow specific rules. Some examples: my sister and I were not allowed to play with certain kids in our school or neighbourhood because their parents were in trade rather than academics. My parents forced me to stop talking to a really close friend in middle school because his parents got divorced. When I got caught smoking in high school, my parents made up a distant uncle with drug problems and told everyone he influenced me. My sister came home one day introducing her Spanish boyfriend to my parents. They didn't like that, so they told everyone the boyfriend is an exchange student that we were housing. My mother made up a bunch of stuff about a neighbouring couple, stuff like her husband is cheating, she does porn to pay the bills. Of course, she always claims to have heard it from someone else, who heard it from someone else, etc. I could list plenty more, but text limit. Now, recently, I was near my hometown visiting a friend, and I ran into a leader of a church group I was a part of. I was pretty engaged in that group, and we sat down for a coffee and talked about the good old times. He asked about my studies and how my fiancé was doing. I was confused and told him I'm not studying and don't have a fiancé. Turns out my parents made up a bunch of lies to cover the fact that I decided to go for an apprenticeship and turned out to be gay. One thing led to another, and together we went over a lot of incidents and stories from the past, with me exposing more and more lies. The results could be seen a few days later. My parents called me very angrily, asking me how I could do this to them. You ruined our lives. We can never talk to our neighbours again. I told them their entire reputation is built on lies and spreading rumours. That's disgusting. They even call themselves Christians at this point, and that I'm done being a part of their little scheme. My sister later called me after mum called her in tears. She is torn. On one side she gets me, has already gone minimal contact with my parents, and on the other hand it has solved nothing but hurt my parents. No, this is a very, very simple one to me. This is the consequences of their own actions. They're the ones that lied all the way through to, as you say, try and protect their reputation. Ugh. And at the very end it says that on the other hand it done nothing but hurt my parents, and you know, it might teach them a lesson as well to stop bloody lying to people. I mean, it might not either, but you're definitely not the arsehole in this situation to me. But we'll start off with Striped Badger saying, sounds like you didn't even know that you were exposing them until it was too late. Someone asks a question about your life and you answer. It's not your fault your parents didn't tell you what to say. Not the arsehole. And Phil River Street says, not the arsehole, come on, admit it. Distant uncle not only taught you to smoke, but he was also the head of the local group promoting the gay agenda. Probably promoted vaccination against COVID as well. / sarcasm. And the LP Forearm says, not the arsehole, consequences of their own actions really. Followed by HKF999 saying, not the arsehole, that pile of lies was just waiting to fall apart. You can only invent a certain amount of bullshit before you get caught. When someone goes, what? No? They only have themselves to blame for building their castle on sand. And WesKit says, I was slightly leaning towards one judgment till I read the whole thing. No, you are definitely not the arsehole here. You didn't do it out of anger or spite. You were confronted with something about yourself that wasn't true. So it was time to finally expose the lies. And one more from Have It Good saying, it might not solve anything and just hurt your parents, but your parents are not nice people at all. Who hurts others for their own gain? The lies will always come back to bite them, and that they are surprised by that is so weird. What do they think will happen if someone else gossips about something first, or says something contradictory? Do they just lie and say, that's what they heard, not the arsehole? And now we'll move on to the next story. And this story is from Noel Secret. Am I the arsehole for never telling anyone my grandma gave me a piece of family jewellery before she died? My grandma died when I was 16. Before she died, she gave me a necklace that had been in her family for a couple of generations. It was supposed to go to the oldest granddaughter, but she wanted me to have it as her oldest bio granddaughter. I have 3 half-siblings who my mum raised and considers her daughters. They're all older than me and she didn't want them to have it. I kept it because it meant a lot that my grandma wanted me to have it. And after she died, everyone assumed she'd lost or misplaced it at some point. Then my nephew found it recently when he went snooping through my house while some family was over and all hell broke loose. They told me it was selfish to keep it a secret, but also to not pass it on to the oldest granddaughter in this case. And that my grandma had been wrong and I should have corrected her wrong instead of reinforcing that my sisters aren't as much as my mum's children / my grandma's grandchildren. And the whole family is pissed at me. Am I the arsehole? Now, we've seen many a story where gifts get passed down from grandparents, and it's exactly the same in this situation, is that you're not the arsehole. This was passed to you from your grandma and it's yours. It is yours. And with that, you can do exactly what you want with it. You can keep it hidden. You don't have to reveal it to anyone. And sure, it probably has raised a lot of questions with everyone else. And, they probably are feeling a bit upset of why it was kept a secret from them, which is somewhat understandable. I can totally get that. But they can't be upset at you for it when you're just doing sort of your grandma's wishes. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation to me. But Kat says, not the arsehole. You've been put in a position you didn't ask to be in. You were just respecting your grandma's wishes. They shouldn't expect a 16-year-old to have to be able to deal with that anyway at the time. It would have been hard enough for an adult. It's your necklace. Keep it. Someone you don't know says, not the arsehole, the heirloom was your grandmother's to grant, and she granted it to you. The fact that your mum feels the necklace should have gone to someone else is irrelevant. It was never hers, it was your grandmother's, and your grandmother didn't see your sisters as her granddaughters. Why is your nephew snooping through your things anyway? Good point there. Malachite says, not the arsehole. Your grandma wanted you to have it, so she gave it to you. Generally, heirlooms tend to go to biological heirs, unless there are none. Enjoy the necklace and ignore your family. Start locking doors when your nephew is around, since he is a known snooper. Info: how did nephew find this one thing that started the shitstorm? OP replies saying, he went snooping in my room while I was going to the bathroom. Went through a lot of my stuff, which actually pissed me off. And one more from TB Bunny saying, not the arsehole, it's not your job to correct any wrongs. Can they feel hurt and upset? Sure, that's valid, but to put the blame on you and say that you shouldn't have respected your grandma's wishes is wrong. She gave it to you because she wanted you to have it. They're just going to need to get over it. And now we'll move on to another story. And this story is from Daughter's Books. Am I the arsehole for only buying my daughter books that are close to her reading level? My daughter Rose, 9, is a very advanced reader. She's in 3rd grade, 8 to 9 year olds, but reads at 9th grade, 14 to 15 year old level. Despite her advanced reading level, the only books she wants to read are the I Survived series and the A to Z mysteries. Both of these books are far below her reading level, so I told her it's fine if she wants to read them in school, but at home she has to read things closer to her level. I've taken her to bookstores and we've looked through the young adult section, but she refuses to read any of the books. She says they're all boring and gross. She always asks to get books from the children's section, but I've said no because they're too easy for her. Rose has started sneaking books home from school, and when I started taking those away, she stopped reading in general. Now Rose has pulled away from me and her teacher is recommending that I let her read whatever she wants. Rose's dad, my ex, found out about this and tore into me for not letting Rose read books for kids her age, and offered to send her books, but that's not the problem. I don't have a problem with Rose reading, but if she's going to read, she should read something close to her level. Now everyone's mad at me, so I wanted to know if I was the arsehole. Now, someone myself who wasn't a big reader when I was younger, I mainly read Reddit stuff. I still don't read many books now. I rather listen to it through podcasts and stuff like that. It's all a bit ironic seeing as I read so many Reddit stories, but I hated reading when I was younger. There was only certain books I was very passionate about, and that was Greek mythology, and I loved reading about all that sort of stuff. And I remember teachers in my first school forcing me to read other types of books and all that kind of thing, and it just totally put me off reading. And then I didn't read for the rest of first school, didn't read through middle school, and I didn't even read through like high school unless we actually had to for like English classes and stuff like that. And you said in yourself in this story that she stopped reading in general. Don't kill her passion for reading when someone who loves it so much. Do not take that away from her. But Raven 2006 says you're the arsehole. Let her read what she wants to read. And says, don't kill her passion for it. Then Saluki Queen says, "You're the arsehole. I'm a teacher, so I can comfortably tell you that if Rose's teacher is doing her job, then Rose is getting the leveled material she needs at school. When she's home, let her read for fun. So what if it's too easy for her? It's age appropriate and she's still reading. Let her read whatever she wants to. She's pulling away and lying because you're being controlling. All you're going to do is stifle her love and have the opposite effect. Besides, eventually she'll move on to a new series when she gets to enjoy her current interests. So relax the reins and enjoy having a kid who's interested in books." And Technoglobe says, "You're the arsehole. This is how you get a kid to hate reading. At 9, young adult books are not going to have themes she is interested in or developmentally appropriate anyways. Books in the children's section are going to have more themes she's interested in and will help her keep that love of reading." And Vinny Capistrano says, "You're the arsehole. Just because she can read more advanced books doesn't mean she has to. The fact that she's reading for fun at all should be praised and encouraged." And we'll have one more from Otherwise Table saying, "You're the arsehole. Let her read what she needs for school and what she wants in her free time. Forcing her to read is going to bring contempt for it." And now we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Silverwing707. "Am I the arsehole for sort of yelling at some tourists to get away from an endangered local species? Here in Hawaii, we have the Hawaiian monk seal, which is one of the most endangered seal species in the world. Whenever one of these chunky babies wants to sunbathe on the shore, the DLNR, Department of Land and Natural Resources, will post up a rope and signs with a 10 to 15 foot radius around the seal, as it's technically illegal to get close to this endangered species and you can get fined. Cut to today, the beach, there's a big chunky boy there, rope posted but no signs around. I also don't see any DLNR workers around monitoring the situation. They're usually somewhere nearby to discuss with tourists and keep them away from the seal. I see a couple of tourists coming close to take pictures, and I initially let it slide, but I am irritated. This is a beach that's often visited by the monk seals and is only accessible by kayak. Tourists and locals alike paddle out here, and the company that rents the kayaks does state it in its introduction video to keep away from the seals. Cut to me walking back over with my husband, brother and brother's friend. And I see it happening again with another tourist couple, 3 feet away from this animal, squatting to take pictures up close. At this point, I'm peeved enough to walk over and basically tell these people off, which I do. The words said were essentially, "Hey, there's a rope here for a reason. This is an endangered species, you need to be behind the rope," in not such a nice tone. To which they replied, "Well, I don't see any signs." And I rebuked with, "Signs or not, there's a rope here for a reason. You need to be behind the rope." It's a big guy and his girlfriend, wife, whatever. I'm 5'1", small local woman, so both of them start telling me not to be an arsehole about it, and that I could have been nicer. At which point my brother and his friend come to back me up. Husband is standing behind me, telling me to let it go. Needless to say, the big guy and my brother get into it. Big brother brownie points for that, but we all end up going our separate ways. His significant other also chose to tell me that she respects animals and works in a vet office. Now, I've been a licensed veterinary technician for almost 10 years, and I've also worked with both the local zoo and local aquarium-esque park. I could have shut her down right then and there, but chose not to as things were already getting pretty heated. So, am I the arsehole for going off on them? I mean, I get that I could have been nicer about it, tactful as my husband chose to say. But there were multiple opportunities for them to stop and say, "Hey, I don't think we should be this close." There's a kayak rental video, the rope, and just general common sense. And if you're visiting an area, shouldn't you have somewhat of a general idea of things to do, things to not do? Am I the arsehole? Now first, let's get a little picture of one of these chunky boys. Oh my word. How gorgeous is that? Absolutely beautiful. And no, you're not the arsehole at all for telling people these are critically endangered animals and they're worried about their feelings being hurt. You're not the arsehole for this at all, are you? Let's face it. Xbox Kid says, "Not the arsehole. Chunky boys need to be protected. Good on your brother and his friend for backing you up." And Pookie Cat says, "Not the arsehole. I've been lucky enough to see monk seals during my visit to Hawaii. I remember the rope too, and you're an idiot if you don't understand what it means." And Please Let Me Stay in Canada says, "Not the arsehole. You have my seal of approval." Oh, I found that funnier than I should have. And Kasia the Red says, "OP, rope is there for a reason." The smug tourists say, "I don't see any signs." OP says, "There's still a rope." Smug tourists reply, "Oh my god, you don't have to be so mean." Not the arsehole. You were right to yell at them. People take any opportunity to get away with shit if they can find some stupid, childish excuse. And Big Rad Wolf says, and quotes, there's a kayak rental video, the rope. Then says, not the arsehole, they were told in the video. They were shown with a rope. Every adult should know what that rope means. Telling them and showing them didn't work. Yelling at them is what protected the endangered species. 5'1" giant. And Hit Durham says, not the arsehole, live here and have a degree in marine biology. Didn't even read the rest of the paragraph. Not the arsehole, not the arsehole, not the arsehole. They are critically endangered and I don't give a fuck if the tourist feelings were hurt. One time I kayaked to the Mokes and there was an adult monk seal around the corner from where I landed and legit just didn't see it because I was focusing on my landing spot and thought it was a giant rock, lol. Someone yelled to get my attention. I said thank you and moved on. Human and seal safety over niceties. And we'll have one more from Mass saying, not the arsehole, they need to know. Does anyone remember the story from 2017 where tourists killed a baby dolphin because they wanted pictures with it? Yep, mob mentality and stupid entitled people can cause a lot of damage. Did you blow up at them near the animal though? Could the argument have caused it stress? And OP said that they didn't see the animal budge or anything like that, and they don't think that they caused them stress, so they're not going to be the arsehole in this situation whatsoever, looking after the animal's best interest. Not the arsehole in my opinion. And let's move on to the next story. This story is from CXCuse6484. Am I the arsehole for refusing to hyphenate my last name? My mum got married recently and she and her husband hyphenate their names and form one family name. Her husband's kids and my half-siblings are all on board with changing their names to the hyphenated version. I am not on board with this for me. I've expressed this at least 20 times since it first came up. I don't want my name changed and I will not stand up in court and consent. My mum is so upset. She has tried talking me around, tried offering me bribes to go along. Her husband has asked me why I'm against it and I have told him straight. I like my name as it is and it's my tie to my dad, who died 2 years ago. And I don't want anyone taking anything or adding anything to it. My name has been my name for 15 years and no, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I'll change it when I get married, so that's not an argument to use with me. I also pointed out that I could do the same when I'm older and get married and hyphenate, and I don't want 3 last names, and his name will be the one to go in that circumstance, not my dad's. Both are pretty pissed I won't work with them on this and agree to compromise a change. My mum has told me that I'm being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn, and having a family name that brings us all together is nice, and I'm separating myself from that. Her husband told me I'm making him feel like there's something wrong with him / his name. I told him that was a him problem, and I made my feelings clear. Am I the arsehole? Nah, and good for you for sticking up for yourself in this situation. If I put myself in your shoes, I wouldn't want a hyphenated name either. I wouldn't want to change my last name. Even like getting married, I would never want to change my last name either. I like my last name, I like my family name, and I can't blame anyone. Even like if a future partner was to say to me like, I don't want to change my last name upon marriage or whatever, I would say, that's absolutely fine. I totally get the attachment to your last name, especially when you said about your father as well. So absolutely not the arsehole in this situation for me. But Curious Belgian says, not the arsehole, your name is your name. And at 15 you're old enough to decide for yourself. What do they want to do? Force you to change it and then let you change it back when you're of age? And Judge Judd, Am I the arsehole says, they have fair reasons for asking, just as you have fair reason for refusing. However, and quotes, I've expressed this at least 20 times since it first came up. I don't want my name changed and I will not stand up in court and consent. And then says, that is 18 or 19 times more than should have been necessary. Trying to force the issue on their daughter makes them clearly the arsehole here. Not the arsehole. And Red says, not the arsehole, you're not marrying the bloke, she is. She can change her name. Any kids they have can have their new name, unless he adopts you. You shouldn't be under any obligation to do so. And even if he does, you are 15. You should be able to make your own mind. It's just a name. Just because your mum adds an extra name doesn't mean your relationship changes. And neither March 4000 says, not the arsehole, good for you for sticking up for yourself. It's rather sad that your mother isn't doing so. Aren't mothers supposed to support their kids, not try and force their will onto them over something which doesn't impact them in any material way at all? It sounds like your mum and stepdad are acting like a pair of bullies. I don't see how you are separating yourself as you're all under the same roof and living together. That's an absurd argument. And now, what do you guys make of today's collections of stories? Did you enjoy them? Let me know your verdicts and your thoughts in the comments below if you choose to do so. only if you choose to do so, of course. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending 20 minutes or so with the channel today and get involved in the stories. If you do want to support the channel further, absolutely never any pressure to do so. You can click that join button down below for YouTube, or click the link in the description for Patreon and join it up there. Thank you so much for your love, your support and your time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.